Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to another exciting, amazing, riveting, rewarding Propagandacast in the host Imperial Dane, Master Propaganda Hero, Psych Defender of the Fatherland, off here to 1 vs 1 on... Well, I just briefly forgot the name of the map, but anyways, off we are. To 1 vs 1 here in these, we got Paul.A.D. fighting for America, freedom, democracy, the elite 3rd Armored Division. Well, actually not very elite, they took generally heavy casualties throughout the war. I must probably think the American Armored Division that suffered the highest casualty rate. I mean, still reasonably good, but you know, not elite. They just didn't have the experience meant to do it. In the West, we got Lenfer fighting for the Wehrmacht, Germany, Deutschland. A player I haven't seen much. Checked his ranking, he's around top 70, so not exactly a slouch or, you know, bottom of the barrel here. Fighting for the German army, Deutschland, rolling out here with the 2nd Panzer Division. He's got Storm, Blitzkrieg and Assault Support versus Paul's Armour, Mechanized and Heavy Cavalry. Some of the more new hotter doctrines alongside the old hotness, Heavy Cavalry. Also, all doctrines have access to SMG troops in one way or the other. You got the assault units in armour, you got the cavalry riflemen in, well, mechanized, and you got the rangers in heavy cavalry. And certainly we've been seeing over an increase in submachine gun troops with those changes there in the company, you know, commander revamp mod. It's even caused, I think, others to sort of look at some of the older submachine gun units and go, hey, those guys might be pretty good as well. Anyways, got a heavy grenadier build there for Lenfer, heavy rifleman there for Paul. For Lenfer, he definitely needs to back up his grenadiers. I feel like in most cases with some machine guns or something else, because one-on-one, the grenadiers tend to lose the riflemen because, well, in theory, if they keep it rifleman at range, they're going to win. The trouble is, riflemen aren't really afraid to stay at range. You just usually close in on the grenadiers and deal with them. That's a really important thing there. In particular because riflemen up close have a 50% DPS edge over the grenadiers, meaning they can do some serious damage. Of course, we keep the grenadiers together, they can sort of cover each other out and make it hard for a single rifle squadron, but then again, it just leaves the rest of his frontage open. In the south, we got Racing versus Grenadiers here. Lenfer pushing ahead here for the fatherland for the 2nd Panzer Division up north here. Grenadiers advancing in the right and holding up behind some small statue by the cemetery. Point there being secured, and we got more grenadiers here for Lenfer. A heavy grenadier built with nothing to back it up. Again, a bit on the less than usual side, I would say. Not something you see as a lot lately. Then again, I'm not seeing a lot of heavy machine gun builds. Well, actually, I'm seeing some heavy machine gun builds, but you only want a mix of grenadiers and machine guns, in particular versus Americans, or just any allied infantry build. Grenadiers up close to getting the overwhelming upper hand here. In this case, Paul.A.D. extending his grenadier rifle heavily. It does allow him to, in which case, you know, cover broader terrain. But on the other hand, if Lenfer then concentrate his forces, he can overwhelm and defeat in detail Paul's troops, and that's basically what's happening here. So a bit risky there for Paul to get aggressive when he's so extending. Usually in these situations, if you are, you know, going for a broad approach, you usually just pick fights and then just disengage immediately from ones you clearly can't win. So that was, I think, a bit of waste of manpower, plus a nice experience boost there for Lenfer's troops. And we got the first doctrine chosen already in the first 4 minutes. It is heavy cavalry here for Paul.A.D. We'll have to see how much he uses it, but mines could be useful in slowing down Lenfer's advances. And of course, Rangers could also be an option down the road here for Paul. We got the captain on the way as well, so that'll likely be have a half track and anti-tank guns backing up there. The captain's certainly seen a lot more usage, you know, post change there, since that way you can get the anti-aircraft half track to help deal with infantry and such, and you get the anti-tank gun to blast away anything else. Plus, the captain is now the one with the access to the bar, so in that regard, a lot of players are now, I think, slowly just switching towards the captain there, sort of the overall more flexible of the two there, whereas the lieutenant, in some ways, offers a bit more aggression, but he's less well-rounded when it comes to armour. But again, offers a sword in hand, which again, if you really want to play aggressive. But again, captain is now sort of more well-rounded play, whereas the captain is, or lieutenant is more aggressive head-on play, but again, with a few more vulnerabilities in terms of armour. We got Paul here launching a counter against the Krauts here by the central road. Die, you goddamn Krauts, die. We don't intend to, you shice-eating Americans. We don't eat shit. Have you seen your diets? That's mostly sugar. Enemies rifles in from north, they're heading the point here. Good play. This is sort of where the broad approach works out here for Paul, because again, if Lenfer then of course pushes out one spot, it does mean he's not covering other pieces of terrain, and this is basically what Paul takes advantage of. So that's, you can see sort of the differences there. Broad approach does allow you to sort of quickly outmaneuver opponent, but does leave vulnerable to a good hard push. On the other hand, the good hard push means you can risk finding vital resources to cut off. So with this, Paul now has an opportunity to actually get ahead here of Lenfer in terms of resources, except Lenfer has slightly been doing the same here in the south. So they basically end up cutting off each other's fuel points, but Lenfer at least has secured it. Oh, there you go, Paul gets as well. Half track away there for Paul.A.D. and the 3rd Armored Division, which I believe had somewhere around 900% casualty rate for its tank crews and overall 300% tank losses. So again, they suffered quite a lot compared to the other armored divisions. They were also the only division to actually receive Pershings as well. But anyways, right from there, push back with the Grenadiers. In the south here, we got Captain Bez of the Grenadiers here. Quickly overwhelming with a bar in the Thompsons. Half track halfway down there for Paul.A.D. A rifleman executed. Paul there trying to do too much. In this case, Lenfer punishing him here with a sound hit to the face. 2-2 following up here for Lenfer. The lighter punches Babakin. Rolling out there for the fatherland by 1944-45, though they would have mostly been phased out. They definitely stopped production sometime before that, beginning switching over to 250 half-track production specifically to use them as armoured cars instead. The half-track almost down there for Paul.A.D. engaging the liaisons up close here with a 2-2-2. Like to punch the Speerwagen unleashing hell upon those re-echelons, roughly send them off. After their rank for Paul.A.D. is probably going to go for some infantry, but if he's actually planning for Rangers, he'll probably just begin spewing them out in a certain number here versus Lenfer. And of course, it will be interesting to see how Lenfer handles that, because his Grenadiers so far not upgraded. He has no access to G43s, and certainly no squad size upgrades either, so a heavy Ranger push could give Lenfer here a bit of a hard time, since the Grenadiers are going to struggle, particularly on one-on-one engagements, but even, 2-on-1 if the situation engagement set up well. They'll pull the Rangers can tear through the Grenadiers like a Ranger squad with Thompsons can lay down some heavy firepower. They have got no look I think in the past, but really Rangers can do some heavy lifting. There we go. Rangers with the Thompson on the way there. So let's see how many of course goes to them. Most places you only get one, but who knows. In this sort of slightly wobbly meta right after the commander revamp, although it has settled in some areas, could maybe see a lot of Rangers out here for Paul.A.D. We'll see. Another 2-2 out here for Lenfer, not a bad choice, does help with his Rangers as well, whether he knows it or not. Of course, it's a bit more to the half-track depending on how Paul handles it. Of course, if he makes a mistake, the 2-2s can take it out, but otherwise the 2-2s can actually struggle to take it out half-track if Paul handles it well. Grenadiers are being assaulted, carbines there, cutting down the Grenadiers. Quite a loss for Lenfer and the German army. A brave squad of Grenadiers ruthlessly cut down here by Paul.A.D. and his men. In the south here, riflemen reactions advanced behind points again. Paul, while struggling a bit on one-on-one engagements, is always displaying very good map control here versus Lenfer. And that's actually a really good skill to have and can to an extent, if you can use it to leverage enough fuel, actually give you a heads up and you do suffer the occasional loss here and there. But there you go, light machines are there for Lenfer, who of course needs to replace some of his infantry as well. Pantagonists would be a good choice. Half-track moving in, backing up the Rangers, who are struggling at long range, even with the Thompsons. Light machines all the way there for Lenfer, and I'm saying that because they kind of gave most submachine guns more of an assault rifle-like profile. Like, they don't have the full range profile of say an assault rifle, but the Thompsons have a close to one. In fact, the only submachine guns in the game that do not have that are the MP40s. It's a little fun fact there. Although I think they might have given the Stormtrooper submachines a bit more of that one. Anyways, but weapon racks on the way there for Paul. Bars and bazookas going to be quite helpful here. So far, no anti-tank guns, which actually be quite good counters here to the 2-2, since the high rate of fire means if Lenfer is making even one slight mistake, then the anti-tank guns can quickly take out the 2-2s due to the high rate of fire of the M1 anti-tank gun. But an MD42 here, as I think Lenfer realizes he can't just rely on the Grenadiers solely here, as Paul is bringing up the Rangers there to lead the way to his guts. Swinging out here again, troop reinforcing, and noting no ambulance out there for Paul. Closing on the 10-minute mark. Lenfer remains optimistically without a doctrine here. Hasn't quite decided what he wants to go for. Troop 2's moving in. Quickly gaining some distance up between them and the half-track. Oh, thankfully for Lenfer here, the half-track's actually in the Grenadiers. Missed on 2, I think, maybe down to at least one of the 2-2s. And you go, Rangers sweeping through, cutting down the Krat. Neutering the Nazis, and there you go, caught by the MD42. The Rangers find their path goes no further unless they want it to go to hell. Rather than getting hammered there, the cover is rapidly crumbling under heavy autocannon and machine gun fire here. And up north here we got the captain holding up here. Those are the 2-2s now. It's going to have to fall back here since he's got 9 tank weapons. Lenfer falling up here with a Pack 40. to help deal with the half and possibly no vehicles. Paul might decide to lob at him. Back here, ambulance finally on the way to Paul. His men are needing it. In particular, the Rangers are covered in wounds. Very big ones. Back in the south, going to be securing territory there. So far, the Paul taking lead in victory points. And I would also say fuel. He could probably get away with a fast tech and into a reasonably fast-paced Sherman here versus Lenfer with a bit of goodwill. That's probably why Lenfer is going for the pack forward here. Not just, of course, deal with the half-track, but also he's probably starting to worry that he might get rushed by a Sherman tank. And then, on top of everything else Paul has, if he then does not have an anti-tank weapon to at least remotely threaten the Sherman, Lenfer does risk getting absolutely crumbled like a paper bag. At a paper bag crumbling competition. Finals. Which was last year, won in fact by none other than Lovenest, master paper bag crumbler. Up north of the Pioneers forgotten the church as the rifle advancing. Slow, steady advance here. 2-2s moving in. Interesting enough, Paul here could have tried to set up some bait using the rifle to drag in the 2-2s and then hit them with something like the half-tech, but seems like Paul either didn't consider that possibility, didn't care, but could have been an opportunity there since probably should have affected, exposed rifle here would be an easy target for the 2s to sort of strafe and hit at. And to tangle away there for Paul, probably to help counter the 2-2s again. Oh, now this is lovely. We actually got infantry awareness. Paul or Lenfer is trying to look out for any opportunities, any flank, but also just to see if there's any reinforcements inbound. So he's not, doing anything silly with his 2-2s. Nice play there. Bit of an overlooked ability. Even I don't use the lot, but at the right time it can be quite impactful. And we can see there, Lenfer is actually further reacting to Paul's strategy here. In this case, realizing Paul's actually not doing a lot here to support rushing with the 2-2s, but he's lost another Grenadier squad. As even as he's pushing the north, he may be getting a wipe here. Lenfer or Paul himself switching in the south, and there it goes. Going to get at least one wipe, compensating for some of the losses himself. They might even get a second one. 2-2 down though, slightly offset, but even though these are heavy casualties, a bold raid by Lenfer, really bold raid. Not the sort of raid you see, I think, a lot of players try to, but oh, got the half as well. These are some astounding losses there to Paul, and I think apart again, just he did not anticipate that Lenfer will be this absolutely bold and aggressive. Also, machine guns coming, machine guns here, also very good move there. I like the double machine guns, it's a really good counter to any infantry we play. And if you use them together actively again, they can make things very difficult for opponent's infantry. So, really heavy series of blows here versus Paul, and Paul is probably reeling a bit. Even if he got some wipes in and got a 2-2, I don't think it quite compensates right now for this stranglehold that Lenfer is currently enacting against Paul. So Paul's going to have to hit back hard here, no tech, and certainly with the resource cut off he's now suffering, it could end up with here Paul having to go for the plan B here, which is basically just stall for the Pershing. And of course the Christian is going to consider maybe more Rangers until then. I mean, a lot of Rangers heading from the right angles could still prove to be something that could turn the game around. I mean, as we've seen here, Lenfer playing quite aggressively, can catch Paul off time here, a bit of guard, and actually do some heavy damage. So Paul, I mean, with a good, Ranger handling, couldn't possibly do the same. And of course, the remaining 2-2 is gonna be a bit of a problem. But this is where the anti-tank can help. There you go, grenade off. Almost got the Grenadiers and the anti-tank, or machine gun, and there we go. 2-2 down. Grenadiers, machine gun routed here. Rangers almost taken out, but still ended up doing a lot of damage and getting rid of that. 2-2 does relieve some pressure here from Paul's shoulders. Means he can actually enact much more aggressive Ranger strategies and tactics because now the 2-2s cannot intercept and, hurt them. So, this is going to give Paul a much better chance of hurting Lenfer. Lenfer, meanwhile, is taking up. Has, in fact, tagged up. Going for more Pioneers. We'll probably be seeing some additional tech here. Prioritising in this case, trying to get a wipe in the Grenadiers is not a bad idea all there for Paul. I mean, if you get a wipe there, it's not going to matter much more. Plus, he's got the reason to grab the fuel point anyways. Got a machine gun covering the road. Locking it down. So nice work there. Back here we got Rangers reinforced heel. Good to go. Captain Hang Northwards and the tank going about here. Back here bit of healing reinforcement. Mostly got that support Crow going out. Could push out from Osprey. Most likely the Panther would be a better choice here. Paul there. I mean, if he gets the fuel pump back, maybe harasses Lenfer's fuel a bit more. Theoretically, he could still get away with taking up, but he might still have to. Stalling for the Pershing is certainly going to look a bit risky, but I suppose a good flank with the Rangers could do enough damage so he can quickly push ahead towards the Pershing. But that's quite a really good flank where sort of gets in deep and sort of hits some really soft units and gets some wiped in which case he can sort of gain enough command points that could sort of speed him up towards that. But we'll have to see here what Paul ends up doing. Rangers, by the way, on the far edge, you see it. Could be setting up for a flank, but might just be doing other stuff. Got those Thompsons. Ooh, sounding off. Grenadiers. It could be a what? Could be a what? Guns Lenfer. Lenfer's not paying attention. And yes, indeed, freshly arrived Grenadiers. Actually wasted there. Another push for the cuff point. Catching the tank gun off here. And there you go, flank with the Rangers. But we got machine guns carrying the machine guns. In-depth defense here by Lenfer. I'm liking it. Paul, most likely, though, isn't. But there you go. Even as he, catches one Ranger squad, the other moves in there. So a nice pincer maneuver there by Paul with his Rangers. And in fact, now threatens the retreat path of Lenfer's infantry, turning that spearhead push into a dangerous situation here. The only way this could be worse is if either he had some beautiful combined arms with the Rangers, actually had some sort of tactical assault ability, in which case Lenfer could be in real big trouble. But the captain could also help there with the on the ability. But there you go, moving in, they're going to lose routed. And mostly just thanks to two Ranger squads going for some deep flanks and, routing most of Lenfer's forces. Really good maneuver there with Paul.A.D and the Rangers. Really good maneuver, not something to see every day though. Dull machine guns very much puts an end to that. Still, thumbs up there to Paul. Thumbs up. Less thumbs up, although it's starting to look like a Pershing stall, but I can understand it in most situations like these. You will sort of just stall for the heavy tanks, since going for the medium tanks are not going to be sufficiently impactful and probably a bit later than the opponent getting out a medium tank, for example. Now, Lenfer's already pulling for the Panzer IV. Paul, though, could go for Sherman now, but most likely he's just going to stall a bit, then use the manpower and other things, and then stall for the Pershing. Usually you sit 3 Ranger squads to put some heavy pressure on. Of course, he's going to need to, be careful of that Panzer IV. Lots of light machines up for Lenfer. Still no doctrine for Lenfer. He really should go for one there soon, and I'd recommend some Panzer Grenadiers. Anyways, pushing in, we got the anti-tanker backing up. He's probably expecting armor by now, and he's probably expecting he's going to go for the fuel point here to sort of hit his Rangers there. So in this regard, Paul's making a bit of gamble there on Lenfer's movements. If he makes the wrong call, his anti-tank gun is toast, by the way, and his Rangers. On the hand, I mean, he's sending in a Ranger squad and an anti-tank gun very much unsupported besides the anti-tank gun for the Rangers and the Rangers vice versa. Which does mean if the Rangers lead immediately routed, the anti-tank gun is in a heap of trouble. So, a bit of a flaw there with St. Paul's plans. Again, to an extent, I can understand the logic behind it, but there should have been a bit more supporting infantry, at least hiding about that to maybe, ambush any attackers there. Panzer moving about in the south there, we got the Rangers advancing. Rangers there, half fleet of actually 2 troops reinforcing it. There you go, Pioneers routed. Lenfer still not taking out. Right. Choosing a doctrine there, my apologies. Got the Panzer opening up though. Rangers here probably very close to the ace level. That's going to be a problem there for Paul. Well, not Paul, but Lenfer, since those Rangers are going to be doing some heavy damage. Bazooka team moving in to hunt that crap tank. Shot fired and spectacular misses. Captain routed as well here. House collapsed. Big 2 points wise, but I got a big lead here for Paul over Lenfer. We got 432 versus 233. Big lead here for Paul. So again, we can see that Paul, while struggling a bit in the unit preservation department, and it might be because I haven't seen planes sometimes, it might be a bit rusty. He's really handling things well in the map control department and the maneuver department, which is, again, really good skills to have. Grenade, they're taking out the gun. It's not to say no unit preservation aren't, but if you can sort of at least handle the map quite well, it can to an extent compensate for it. Lenfer moving in with the Panzer IV. Super far, we got Blitzkrieg here for Lenfer. Interesting choice there. Well, obviously he makes use of how many abilities, but there you go, Panzer IV going back to the Pioneers. And we got grenades on the way for Paul. Interesting choice considering, well, he's got the reason the captain can throw down some smoke, and that's about it. The Rangers automatically have access to grenades anyways. Bazooka drop, bit unfortunate there. Lenfer's men are immediately on it. Schnell, Heinz, grab the bazooka. Why is it always Heinz? Why is it never Ludwig? Well, Jürgen, because no one likes you, Heinz. You're talking third person. Those people are assholes. But up there north, being snapped back and forth here between Lenfer and Paul. More Grenadiers, not Ostwind. Not a bad choice either. I would still prefer some Panther Grenadiers out there for Lenfer. I do feel like Panther Grenadiers, and additionally, overlooked unit against you see some high experience inflation. I actually go for them here and there, but you know, for the most part, most players just tend to stick to Grenadiers, and I feel like that overlooks just how useful the Panther Grenadiers can be. There you go. Pioneers caught in a battle. We got 2 Ranger squads, by the way. They're opening up with a torrent of fire. We got a 3rd one joining in. They are running the gauntlet to hell, straight to hell. Straight to the boiler room of hell, in fact. And they're just an utter wipe there. Rangers just sweeping through here the northern side, but at the same time, you might have to coordinate with some smoke there because the machine guns could sort of, you know, thwart this recently. So the other machine gun, by the way, is setting up this well, so pretty much able to stop a broad advance of the Paul. Smoke's going off from the cap, but sadly not fast enough. Not fast enough. Flak Panzer around there for Lenfer. Very schnell. Panther 4 getting heavy hits from the bazookas and anti-tank gun. We're likely going to see the destruction of the Panther 4. That's going to be quite unpleasant there for Lenfer. Total destruction of the Panzerkampfwagen 4, but the Flak Panzer moves ahead here. Tank through the anti-tank gun there. We got the Captain of the Rangers. Not that they can actually do anything against the Flak Panzer. Going to be down to the bazooka team here, but there you go. Possibly might draw some fire. Grenadiers here by the Coh2 again. Lenfer is certainly very focused on fuel harassment. Very good there, by the way. Rangeman gunners are being routed again. The Rangers just laying down so much firepower. The Grenadiers cannot stand around unsupported against them. There you go, just full retreat here. Even, I mean, he hadn't suffered any damage really, but he knows if he stays around too long against the Rangers, they can wipe him. As even those Pioneers we just got swarmed found out. Paul, though, now very close to the Pershing. He's got more than enough fuel. Just needs a bit more manpower. At which point he can bring in the Pershing, and Lenfer is actually in a bit of an awkward position for that. Having lost the Panther 4 and only having 1 anti-tank gun and a bazooka, that's going to be a bit of an anti-tank shoestring budget to try and take out a Pershing heavy tank with. So he's going to probably need something else to sort of back it up. Stoogs would be probably the better immediate choice. The other option is supposed to be, you know, going for some Panzer Grenadiers with Panzer Schrecks, aka the Panzer Jaegers. And we got Paul got the M26 Pershing out in the field. Got the captain up here watching the north. Now we'll see how Lenfer handles the arrival of a Pershing tank. And again, he's got very few options for seriously stopping. And of course, very importantly, Paul's got 3 Ranger squads to back up the Pershing. That's really important because, again, the Rangers and generally troops with submachine guns and assault rifles are really great for supporting attacks and keeping up the, you know, attacks because they can quickly out support weapons, you know, flank stuff and just, you know, put up pressure. Which is why I recommend stuff like Panzer Grenadiers because they are good for supporting tank assaults. In particular, if you have the German infantry and you upgrade them with the support package, then they're really good for supporting tank advances. North Cap moving in here. Smoke not called in a Paul. I do feel like that's a bit on an oversight. Then again, might have wanted to time it all a bit better here, obviously. Anti-tank support ready here for Lenfer. The Luftwaffe is ready. We got another Pack 40 in the way here, so looks like not a Stug. He's just a bit worried the Stug is not going to be fast enough, and he just basically goes for another Pack 40. Flak Pump 6 we got mites on from Lenfer, though that's actually good. And go sweeping in. They need to smoke in. Could have called in smoke here. Failed to say got grenades off. Double grenades, in fact. But yeah, he should have called in smoke there when he had it. I would say clear opportunity to call in smoke. Not good smoking there by Paul. Rather than fortunate, I would say it's a good flank and got sort of good control of the map. A lack of smoke there, you know, make things, you know, rather much harder than they needed to be. Back here, troops reinforcing for Paul. Alright guys, get ready, we're gonna go out and then we're gonna murder some more crowds. But there you go, pushing out here with the Grenadiers, the Pack 40 and whatnot. Pershing needs to fall a bit back here, kills already. Ooh, that was a close one there, took out half the health of the Grenadiers. Up north Grenadiers winning as well. Still would love to see some Panzer Grenadiers, but you know, upgraded Grenadiers can still do quite a bit of good. Looks like Lenfer's aiming for another Panzer 4 versus the Pershing Stugs would be, I would say, normally better. Ooh, lucky hit there against Lenfer for Lenfer that is because his Grenadiers took next to no damage. The thing about the Pershing is it's really good at murdering infantry. It is really good. It's probably one of the best heavy tanks for it, if not the best heavy tank for it. There you go, poor Fritz blown apart. Bit of a bigger push there, hitting the fuel point and the flank with the Rangers there. Setting up for another flank from the south again. Really good infantry handling there by Paul. In this case, southern flank is covered by the flak panzer, making it harder for them to move ahead. Nice hit over there by Lenfer, who's certainly putting up to be a pretty good defender. Pershing they're down to half. They'll need to pull back the Rangers before they get annihilated. But he is very importantly denying Lenfer more fuel. As for Paul, he is taking up good. No sign of Fury Syndrome there, which is very important, but rather just, going for the Pershing because he feels pressure, and then once he has the Pershing, he feels, he's got enough time and resource, and partly due to the Pershing drawing a lot of attention, to then following up with medium tanks to back it up. Won't necessarily tank destroy if it comes down to that. So, good play there. He's still got a nice victory point lead over Lenfer. Lenfer is struggling to contain the might of the 3rd Armoured Division. Major almost done there for Paul. Captain doing what he can up north. Rangers could, I think, try and sneak up to get up close to the Grenadiers, so he might have planned some field cut machine gun there. There's one. Ah, we got smoke up from the captain finally. Again, a bit more preemptive this time around. Better. Almost looks like we forgot about the Rangers up north. Captain there pushed back in the end. Too many machine guns, and there you go. Range going here, flanking the machine gun from the north. Getting up close and out, and there you go. The Thompsons are cutting the Krauts to ribbons. Almost taking out the entire machine gun crew there in a matter of seconds. Grenade off the Grenadiers. Nice throw there. He was thinking too much about the machine gun. And we could see what the Grenadiers. Does he get it? Oh, no. Gets routed here, but still absolute devastating work there by the Rangers. And he really only lost one man compared to how much he killed and routed there with them. So, really good attack there by Paul. Machine gun Major in the centre. Could lay the smoke, but there you go. Pershing on the move. Wipes out half the Grenadiers. Panzer on the way there for Lenfer to back up his Panzertruppen. We got the Rangers there closing in on the ace level. That means he's going to have 2 ace level Ranger squads. That is 2 things that's going to make Lenfer cry if he's not careful. Pershing about here. He can, well, go for Sherman now. He could go for Scott. Or he could say up for the Jackson. In the current circumstance, I'd probably just recommend the Sherman to back up the Pershing with an infantry and of course provide him with a source of smoke. If he uses it, that is. But again, Shermans are great smoke mortars as well. Rather overlooked. Nope, by late 1944-45 they would not usually use this type of smoke discharge on the outside of the tank. As it turns out, those were actually highly flammable, which caused the Germans to drop them out. They'd rather switch towards a system that sort of involved a flare pistol being fired from inside the tank through a special mounting that could then fire smoke grenades, flares, or high explosive rounds, or actually I think it was fragmentation rounds, so that would deal with infantry nearby. That little spot then the Panzer IV's choke parts would have been fired from. Kind of a bit like the Pershing fire smoke rounds they sort of outdone with Panzer IV, but again, it could fire more than smoke. Got the Rangers here being assaulted, flanked here by the Flak Panzer and the Panzer IV. Nice push there by Lenfer. Aggressive, and he could do with some backup infantry there, but still having an impact there. Almost got the anti-tank gun. Rangers routed. Pursued the team up on the flank of the Panzer IV. Getting a bit risky here. Pershing Paul.A.D not repaired, less than half health. Releasing the Cat machine is backing up. Pack 40 is falling back. Panzer IV going for a deep flank, maybe to escape, or maybe he's hoping to get behind the Pershing. In which case, this is a really bold and aggressive move there by Lenfer. Complete. Oh, and he's calling in the anti-tank strafe as well here. Nope, by the way he's called it in, it can actually prevent the Pershing from getting away safely. Partly because he can sort of put in, but also he can't get safely back to the base. And with this, wow, highly aggressive flank cutting in deep. He takes out Paul's Pershing. That is one hell of an impressive flank there by Lenfer, and a good use of still close air support. That is really bad news there for Paul. I mean, he's still in the fight, but just losing the Pershing like that is very painful. Never mind imagine the psychological shock, just seeing your opponent just go in so deep and just take it out. Smoke stream down from the Sherman, sadly too slow. Paul probably, yeah, could also use with the ultimate smoke barrage. Definitely, I think, a bit faster than when he comes to use his smoke. So again, probably some room there for improvement. Admittedly, just using smoke correctly and effectively does require a bit more training and sort of active, effort towards it. But I think it done with some smoke here and there. But still, he's got most of the map. He's still got most of the victory points. Despite these losses, Paul's map control is still brutally efficient. And that again does deserve commendation. I mean, that is a really powerful skill to have to consider. So even if he's losing other stuff, that he's still managing to bleed out his opponent. He's still managing to control the most of the map here. despite his opponent not having numerically superior forces. So that is impressive work there by Paul. Absolutely impressive. Of course, part of it's just probably just how effective these Rangers could be on their own, and it goes one working together. They could just really punish Lenfer for having any weakness, any sort of open spots there. Paul can just pry them apart like a, I don't know, burglar prying apart a exposed window with a crowbar. A freedom. Anyways, catching the gun, he's just spraying them apart there with the Thompsons. Rangers versus Grenadiers. We've got rifling it off from the Grenadiers. Light machine gun fire there. Black Panther, Panther 4 moving in. Opening up in the troops in the centre. Got the anti-tank opening up and flying away at the Panther 4. Big push here from the Rangers from the north, being caught in the machine gun. Blitz are slow there. And again, a lack of smoke there. Further just impedes Paul's chance of pulling through there. And there goes Portland's and South being cleared up with the Panther. Push here by Lenfer. He's really handling his armour confidently, I gotta say there. And that is a really nice flanking arm movement there from Lenfer. Not something I actually see that often. I'm really liking that. And again, nice attempt here. Just, again, the lack of smoke coordination, I think, just hurts Paul's chances there. Just following through here, in particular when there's just enough time here for Lenfer to switch machine gun about. And he's actually brought up a third one, which again, just I think should be a testament to just how effective Paul's infantry flanks have been, just how devastating the Rangers are. That Lenfer actually goes for a third MG42 just to hold them back here. He's also almost got his opponent played out. He's down to 27. I mean, despite having now 3 machine guns, Lenfer is still struggling with map control against Paul. And had Paul, I think, mastered smoke there, I mean, Lenfer might actually be worse off. Got the range. He's only got rid of the bazookas now, just out there versus the tanks. Oh, he was about to crash them. He actually got smoked on the tank. And that's sort of a fun thing. The American rifle smoke grenade can actually, disable a tank's gun and make them move slower. No other smoke barrel does this, but the American smoke rifle grenade does it. I always found that to be interesting. Alway Lenfer is holding the line. I think Paul is stalling for another Pershing. I think that might be a bit more risky at the current circumstances. But we'll see how it works out. Either way, he's got almost 3 ace ranger squads. That is a lot of rangers. That's a lot of ace rangers. We got the pack front here established. We've got machine guns covering the vital points. Note again, there are overlapping fields of fire, making much harder there for Paul just to sort of barrel through. He's going to have to go for some deep flanks, and he's going to have to use some smoke to really try and crack apart this defense. Air recons up. You can see that Lenfer further making use of recons just to further. I mean, he knows he's in a desperate spot, so he needs to know everything about Paul. He needs to know where the attack's going to come, so he can prepare better for it. So he calls in air recons, and that is beautiful. He's all got the Pershing in, and likely the air recons will see that as well. And he's going to spot here Paul's deep flank, completely ruining it. There you go. Lenfer, immediately seeing this, begins taking appropriate defense. Again, note the way the machine guns are covering each other. Again, this is defense in depth. That is sexy. Beautiful. That's something that deserves a medal. Of course, we can see here, though, that Paul realizes what's going on and immediately retreats. So again, Paul's suddenly realizing, shit, my surprise attack has been spoiled by the evil crowd. And of course takes up, but sadly he's making one mistake, which of course rushing in the Pershing on its own without infantry support. He did lose his unit in the south to the Flak Panther, collapsing the House of 82 by the way. Pershing taking heavy damage from the Panther Horse, more important the Pack 40s. Not looking good here for Paul, not looking good. This stage with Lenfer's iron grip, even Paul's masterful map control is falling short. And there you go, sweeping away the Krauts. From visiting heavy damage from the Flak Panther and other elements nearby. Machine holds it up, and of course still got the Panther Force. Rangers being slowly whittled down, man by man. He's got Lenfer down to 17 points. Bazooka fire off. Rangers though are taking astoundingly heavy casualties as Paul just tries one push for freedom. Flak Panther is flanking the Pershing. Rangers almost wiped out. Pershing's almost down. Panther 4 blitzes away. Step on it, Helmut. I don't intend to die here. And now the Pershing might in fact find himself cut off. He's overextended. The Pack 40s are firing, hoping to catch it, but Flak Pants going to the base here. Oh, the infantry exposed. There's no anti-tank weapons nearby except the bazookas, the Rangers, hammer there. At the same time, Clans bunched up so close to the Flak Pants. There we go. Cutting apart the Rangers. It's massacring them. And now he's blitzing. Those can't just stag out on something. I don't know what. Maybe just bad pathing. Could lose the Flak Panther still. Paul has barely anything left. But the belief in democracy. And Pershing goes down, taken up at the pack front. And there you go, Artler routed. And I think with that it's GG. I mean, Paul's chance of winning, there we go, are next to nil. A absolutely brutal battle here, spectacular battle with excellent flanks, excellent machine gun play, good tank handling, and I mean so many other nice things are just really instructive and good to see, good players do. In the end, the only thing that really felt held Paul back was partly just some unfortunate and preservation and the lack of smoke, I think, on a higher level. Had I think mastered smoke better, I do think Paul could have crushed Lenfer. It was really close a lot of times, and I do think Lenfer in some ways unit conservation wise, or not conservation, but unit what's the word I'm looking for? Also the map name is Vilshanka now, remember, but composition, there we go. He could have done with some Pentagon again. Those are pretty good. Again, they have the ability to just keep moving and quickly advance and push and attack. And that's, I think, a time that Lenfer needed. But still, really well played here by both sides. Some excellent tactical and strategic play there. So I hope you enjoyed this match. I hope you learned something from it. I hope it makes you a better player at Camus 2. And if you didn't, subscribe, like, share, comment. Remember to subscribe, press the little bell there so you actually get updates from YouTube, because YouTube's a bit, YouTube. And if you like what I do, you can donate or pledge on Patreon. Every dollar helps me keep making videos day after day, entertaining you 365 days a year. You can't really beat that. I hope you can. So anyways, thank you all, and see you all tomorrow. You're all a wonderful audience. Hope to see you all again. Bye.